Welcome to Ephesus, one of the most incredible archaeological sites in the world. Nestled on Turkey's Aegean coast, Ephesus was once a thriving ancient city dating back over 2,000 years. This UNESCO World Heritage Site is a treasure trove of history, showcasing the grandeur of the Roman architecture. From the towering columns of the Library of Celsus to the massive Great Theater that once held 25,000 spectators. As you walk these ancient streets, you're stepping in the footsteps of emperors, scholars, and early Christians. The Temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, once stood nearby, a reminder of Ephesus' significant role in history. Join us as we explore the timeless beauty, fascinating stories, and breathtaking ruins of Ephesus, a journey through one of the greatest cities of the ancient world. Welcome to Ephesus, and this city was at its height, was the second largest city in the Roman Empire. The only city that was bigger was Rome itself. And this city was founded in about the 5th century BC, but it actually reached its peak around 100 AD. And you think about what the Romans did, how advanced they were. So this city had running water. Many of the homes themselves actually had piped in water. If not, you could go to public areas to get water coming into the city. It had flushing toilets. It had a library. It had paved roads that were actually notched on the roads to give you better traction. And so the advancement of civilization back then is just incredible. And so if you look right here, these are actually the plumbing lines, how they were put together to pipe in water and actually take away the waste. So, 100 AD, we had a city that had running water. It's just incredible to me. Now, it's set up along the river called Meander. And so guess where we get the term meander from? So the river kind of changed courses over time and through the centuries. So as the river meandered along, that's how we got the word meander. So thanks for joining us today here in the ancient, fascinating city of Ephesus. Ephesus was one of the very first places we explored when we began traveling nearly 30 years ago. Its beauty and history captivated us and ignited a passion for travel that still burns strong today. Over the years, we've often wondered, would Ephesus still hold the same magic after experiencing so many other incredible destinations? The answer? Absolutely. Ephesus remains as awe-inspiring now as it was during our first visit. Returning here has reminded us why this ancient city is so special and truly worth seeing again. Okay, so this is where Ephesus basically became a pedestrian zone. Just slightly up the hill, about 50 meters, is the Gate of Hercules, which was intentionally narrow, and it prevented carts from coming in here. So from this point on, up there, it was just a pedestrian zone, basically. And to think about the people who have walked over these steps, it kind of blows your mind. So, for example, Julius Caesar was here, Paul was here a couple times, and he preached against the pagans and really expanded Christianity in this area. St. John was here, and also possibly Mary, the mother of Jesus, was here. Supposedly she came here with John, and her house, the last house she lived in, is not too far from here. But yeah, absolutely spectacular. You think they had piped water running underneath the street, and they actually had street lamps. So at certain places there's little rings where they had guidelines that held up the lamps that were lit every day. So you think about how old this place is and how advanced it was. It's really mind-blowing. And then you think about, in many ways, mankind kind of went backwards there, or at least in certain areas went backwards in technology for several hundred years before it caught back up. So yeah, the Romans in this area, the Greeks, they were really ahead of their time. It's really fascinating. This is Trajan's Fountain, which was built in the 2nd century AD and was dedicated to the Emperor Trajan, who ruled at the height of the Roman Empire. The structure once featured a large pool and an elaborate facade adorned with statues of gods, goddesses, and Trajan himself. Water flowed from the fountain, symbolizing the abundance and prosperity that the emperor brought to the city. Although much of the original fountain is gone, you can still see the grandeur of its design in the surviving arches and columns. This was more than just a source of water. It was a symbol of Rome's power and the emperor's divine authority. Trajan's fountain stands as a reminder of the importance of public monuments in ancient Roman life, connecting the city's people to their leaders and gods. The Temple of Hadrian is one of the best preserved structures in Ephesus. Built in the 2nd century AD, this temple was dedicated to Emperor Hadrian, who visited the city during his reign. The temple's facade is a masterpiece of Roman architecture, with its beautifully detailed arch and Corinthian columns. Above the arch, you'll notice a striking relief of Tyche, the goddess of fortune, and a symbol of the city's prosperity. Though the temple is relatively small compared to others in the ancient city, its significance lies in its connection to Emperor Hadrian, one of Rome's most revered rulers. The Temple of Hadrian stands as a testament to the architectural beauty and historical importance of Ephesus. Okay, so this is the Ephesus Odeon, or the theater, and this was an indoor theater. So the city of Ephesus at its peak had about 250,000 people. And the city planners, basically the aristocrats or the people who are in charge, would meet here in this theater once a week, according to the records, to plan out, I guess the future of the city. So it would hold about 1,000 people. So it held a lot of people, but it was a much more intimate setting than the stadium we're going to see later. So they would have plays and different performances here, kind of like the city's elite would come here. And to kind of get you a scale of how much has been excavated here, basically when they discovered this, up to the very top was covered in earth when they started digging it out. So it was really had been covered up over the centuries, and that's how much they had to dig out. So the Odeon, or the theater for the city planners and the aristocrats to come see plays, in the 1st century AD when Ephesus was at its peak. The public toilets actually had running water in there to flush them out. And to clean yourself, you used a stick with like a sponge, a wet sponge on it, to wipe yourself off. And you can see the hole was designed so you could stick the sponge up there. The last time I was here, which is almost 30 years ago, you could actually sit on the toilet. There's a picture, we have a picture of me somewhere sitting on one of these toilets, but I guess too many people have done that, so they've closed it off. Okay, so it is believed that this is one of the oldest ads, signs, billboards, if you will, in the world, and still in existence. So Ephesus was a port town, and the sea used to come right up to here. So there were people here from many different countries, many different languages, so they couldn't read the same thing, but they could understand signs. So if you look at this, you're coming up from the port, you're walking towards the library, and you see this. Okay, so your heart, there's an image of a heart. Your heart's breaking or it's pounding or whatever. And then there's a picture of a woman. So your heart, you want a woman. And then there's a left foot. So right up here on your left-hand side is the brothel. So if you have an achy heart and you want a woman, just a few meters down the road on your left, you can go to the brothel and fulfill your desires. All right, so this is the Library of Celsus, and this was the 3rd largest library in the world. The only larger libraries were Alexandria, Egypt, and Pergamon, also here in Turkey. So this was built around 120 AD, and this is the peak of Ephesus as a city in all of its grandeur. And so you could just admire the beauty of it, and just it's really breathtaking when you're walking down the avenue here in Ephesus and this strikes you. It's unbelievable. And to think about how rich this city must have been at its peak, with people coming and going and how busy it was, it is really breathtaking. So the Library of Celsus here in Ephesus is just something that you'll never forget. The Library of Celsus is one of the most iconic landmarks of the ancient world. Built in the early 2nd century AD, this stunning structure was dedicated to Tiberius Julius Celsus, a Roman senator and governor of Asia, whose tomb lies beneath the library. The library's elaborate facade is a masterpiece of Roman architecture, featuring soaring Corinthian columns and beautifully carved statues representing wisdom, virtue, knowledge, and thought, the qualities celebrated by the library. These statues are symbolic of the intellectual and cultural importance of the site. Once housing over 12,000 scrolls, the Library of Celsus was one of the largest libraries in the ancient world. It was not only a center of knowledge, but also a monument to the legacy of Celsus, reflecting the prosperity and intellectual life of Ephesus during Roman times. The Stadium of Ephesus. Can you imagine? Look at the seats. Built to hold 25,000 people. The pagans, especially, this was a city dedicated to the god Artemis. And so there were blacksmiths and there were different craftsmen who sold different figures of Artemis. So when people stopped buying those, then they got really upset. So at one point, a lot of the craftsmen, a lot of the tradespeople, they captured a lot of Paul's colleagues and brought them in here to the stadium. And it looked like they were gonna maybe kill them. They were just really enraged at them. Eventually, things calmed down. And the city did eventually convert. Most of the people converted to Christianity, and that is because Paul was here preaching to those that worshipped pagan gods. So these are the Terrace Houses in Ephesus, and when you buy your ticket to get into the archaeological site, it costs extra. I can't remember how much extra off the top of my head to get entrance into these terraced houses. And you may be thinking, I don't need to do that. It's going to be archaeological overload. And, it's going to seem like that. Honestly, I felt that way before I came in, but this is an unbelievable site. So I definitely recommend to you, if you are in Ephesus, pay the little extra. You're coming into the archaeological site anyway, and visit these terraced houses, because it is unbelievable what it looked like inside of these houses. And plus, it's covered, so it's nice and cool. So outside, it's very hot. The sun's beating down. There's hardly any shade anywhere. But you come in here, you got some cover. It's nice and cool, and you get to look at this cool history, the mosaics, the marble, the bathtubs, the plumbing. I mean, what they had 2,000 years ago, it continues to blow my mind. So yeah, so pay the extra and come into the terraced houses here in Ephesus. You'll be sorry if you don't. The Terrace Houses offer an incredible glimpse into the daily lives of the wealthy elite of ancient Ephesus. These luxurious homes, built into the hillside, date back to the 1st century AD and showcase the opulence and sophistication of Roman living. Inside, you'll find beautifully preserved mosaics covering the floors and vibrant frescoes decorating the walls. These intricate designs highlight the artistic skill of the time, with scenes from mythology, nature, and Roman life. The homes were equipped with advanced heating systems and running water, a testament to the architectural innovation of the era. Each house is a maze of spacious rooms, including courtyards, dining halls, and even private baths, all reflecting the wealth and social status of their owners. The attention to detail and luxury is evident in every corner of these homes. The Terrace Houses provide a rare opportunity to walk through the spaces where Ephesus' elite once lived, offering a unique perspective on ancient Roman domestic life. They stand as a window into the past, preserving the elegance and grandeur of a thriving city. The archaeological site of Ephesus is about 2 miles from the town of Selçuk, which is where we stayed and is also definitely worth exploring. Be mindful that daytime temperatures here can get extremely hot, with very little shade available. We visited in early April, and by mid-morning it was already uncomfortably warm. Make sure to apply sunscreen and wear a hat to stay protected from the sun. We also recommend bringing plenty of water and snacks, as there are very limited options for refreshments once you're inside the archaeological site. As we wrap up our journey through the ancient city of Ephesus, we hope you've enjoyed discovering its incredible history, awe-inspiring architecture, and rich cultural legacy. From the grand Library of Celsus to the intricate terrace houses, Ephesus stands as a testament to the power and brilliance of the Roman Empire. Each stone, column, and mosaic tells a story of the people who lived, worshipped, and thrived here over 2 millennia ago. Ephesus remains one of the best preserved cities of the ancient world, a place where the past comes vividly to life. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more adventures as we explore the wonders of history and travel. Until next time, keep exploring and keep discovering.